we are experiencing a radical transition in response to socio-economic and demographic changes, rising incomes, rapid urbanization, and a growing middle class that lead to quite strong adjustments in dietary preferences and also consumer behavior. Now, we need to recognize also that the urban and certainly in APEC economies in Asia, there's big mega cities, yeah, and rural households, or even semi-rural for that matter, are simultaneously engaged in different types of food systems, and they do have different requirements. No one size fits all. And bear in mind that increasing agri-food production has only partially translated into less hunger. And it was mentioned by the previous speaker as well. Previously, we had 800 million plus people who were suffering from undernutrition. That's probably more than a billion due to COVID right now. While the rest of us are quite possibly, hand up as well, getting overweight or worse. And of course, we know with the COVID pandemic, the destructive economic toll it's had, as well as health as well. And that continues in so many economies, or most economies around the world. Now, the food industry has to grapple with all these issues and do its job, which is growing food and producing it and supplying it to consumers. Obviously, governments have a massive job to do. For example, you know, they would have a role in how to assess or on how to look at lowering the environmental impact of food production and how you limit waste. And to do this, not just in consultation with industry, but it has to be done in partnership. The economies that approach collaboration will, in our opinion, will inevitably be more successful than those who think of working with the private sector as an afterthought. Now, we do hear lots about public-private partnerships, but I have to say, rarely are those really backed up by tangible foundations that make have a real impact. Why? They're difficult and they're messy, since the goal of them is to try and encourage inclusive and sustainable economic development through market-orientated investments. Not all partners or parties in public-private partnerships agree, but they are absolutely essential in order for business and government to work together on feeding the population within our planetary boundaries. Now, in order to make a partnership work on a complex issue, we're talking about food today. It could be any other industry, tech industry, banking industry, you name it. But it's important not to fixate at the organizational level, but really understand the pivotal contribution that individual actors can play in that collaborative process. And these people are what you might call boundary spanners. I actually might call them boundary ambassadors, because in the English language, spanners is not this can be a derogatory term, but let's call them boundary ambassadors. So that people that seek to facilitate communication across, you know, your organizational cross-sectorial boundaries. You know, these are the people that build trust. They try to build shared values. They build mutual understanding amongst very different actors, not just government and the private sector, but civil society, NGOs as well. And they really do have different worldviews. That is definitely messy. But if you really want to solve climate change through sustainability efforts, then these are the people that the private sector and APEC economies need to discover, they need to embrace, bring these people together, break down that kind of needless bureaucracy. Not just government, private sector is really good at red tape as well, and work collaboratively on building solutions that our future generations will be eternally grateful for.